New Year's Eve proves one thing: humans will celebrate anything if it sparkles. 1. The town that tried to drop a giant potato. Some cities drop apples, some drop glittering balls, and one brave Idaho town said, "Hold my starch." Their master plan for a memorable New Year's celebration was to lower a 16-foot potato from a crane at midnight. Not a fake potato, a giant foam and fiberglass spud with a smile painted on it, as if it knew it was about to become a national meme. Local volunteers spent weeks arguing over important cultural questions like, should the potato wear a hat? And is it disrespectful if it has butter on it? The final result descended slowly from the sky, wobbling like a confused UFO looking for farmland. Residents cheered as if this glowing carbohydrate represented freedom itself. And honestly, by the time it touched the ground, it kinda did. Nothing says New Year, New Me like screaming at a giant potato you built with taxpayer money. 2. The guy who tried to toast the new year with a frozen champagne bottle. Every year, there's one person who forgets that physics does not care about holiday spirit. This man put his champagne in the freezer for 10 minutes to chill it faster, and promptly forgot it existed until 5 minutes before midnight. When he opened the freezer, the bottle looked intact, calm, innocent, a sparkling time bomb. The moment he tried to pop the cork, the bottle exploded like it had been shot out of a cannon by a vengeful French winemaker. Champagne slush plastered the kitchen ceiling. The cork ricocheted off a cabinet and nearly took out the TV. His guests applauded the spectacle, assuming it was some kind of risky New Year's stunt. He blamed the bottle blamed science, and the ice-cold truth is this: if you hear a New Year's countdown followed by a noise like a grenade, someone definitely overused the freezer. 3. The neighborhood that scheduled fireworks for the wrong midnight. Some towns have budget issues, others have planning issues. This one had a time zone issue. Their New Year's Eve fireworks were supposed to ignite exactly at midnight, festive, dramatic, and synchronized with the rest of the country. Except the volunteer in charge accidentally programmed the launch system to Eastern Time. The problem? They lived nowhere near the East Coast, so at 11 p.m., the sky suddenly erupted with patriotic enthusiasm while the crowd was still drinking cocoa and trying to figure out where the DJ went. Some residents thought they'd missed the countdown. Others thought the world was ending. A few just shrugged and said, "Well, at least we beat traffic." When real midnight finally arrived, there were no fireworks left. People just stared at their watches and clapped awkwardly. Nothing brings a community together like collectively celebrating the wrong hour. 4. The family who tried DIY Times Square with a disco ball and a leaf blower. Some families play board games on New Year's Eve. Others attempt electrical engineering without a permit. This family decided Times Square was too far away, so they hung a thrift store disco ball from a clothesline in their backyard and assigned Uncle Ron to lower it at midnight using a leaf blower for dramatic wind effects. The plan fell apart instantly. The disco ball spun so fast it became a shimmering blur of danger, reflecting tiny laser beams into every neighbor's window. The leaf blower blasted Uncle Ron backward into a snowbank, where he remained like a festive fossil while the disco ball broke free and shot across the yard like an angry meteor. The only thing truly lowered that night was their homeowner's insurance rating. But hey, everyone agreed. It was still better than cable. 5. The woman who made a resolution to eat healthier at 12 and ordered pizza at 12:07. New Year's resolutions are basically contracts written in pencil. This woman announced, loudly, proudly, that her first act of the new year would be eating healthier. She held up a green smoothie like it was the Holy Grail. She took one sip, made a face like she'd just swallowed lawn clippings, and declared, "This tastes like disappointment." By 12:07, she was already on the phone ordering a large pepperoni pizza with stuffed crust and extra cheese. Her friends tried to intervene, reminding her of her resolution. She replied, "I said healthier. I didn't say when." The pizza arrived at 12:23. Her commitment lasted exactly as long as a single countdown. Honestly, that's still better than most gym memberships. 6. The town parade that used inflatable snowmen. During a 72-degree heat wave, you'd think someone would check the weather before launching a snow-themed New Year's parade, but no. This town lined its streets with inflatable snowmen, tall, jolly giants powered by tiny fans, even though the temperature hit 72 degrees. Within minutes, the snowmen began to sag, melt, and collapse like they'd just learned about global warming for the first time. Children screamed. Parents screamed louder. One snowman deflated so fast it tackled the mayor like an affectionate marshmallow. Another slowly folded forward until it looked like it was bowing in defeat. The parade announcer tried to improvise, shouting, "Behold, the symbolic transition from winter to spring." Nobody bought it. The only happy participant was the local ice cream truck, which sold out instantly. 7. The guy who tried to start the new year by running into the ocean for clarity. Some people journal, some meditate. This man thought charging into freezing water at midnight would reset his soul like a factory-fresh smartphone. He sprinted toward the ocean, wearing only swim trunks and unearned confidence. The second his toes touched the icy waves, his spiritual awakening turned into a full-body regret. He emitted a sound only dogs could hear and immediately sprinted, back out, slipping on seaweed and performing an accidental interpretive dance across the sand. His friends applauded like he'd just won a gold medal in the hypothermia Olympics. Later, he claimed the water wasn't that cold, which was bold, considering he shivered so hard his phone thought he was trying to Morse code an emergency. Still, he insisted he felt renewed, which is exactly what people say when they're trying to save face. 8. The firework expert who swore he knew what he was doing. Every neighborhood has that one guy, the self-declared fireworks specialist whose entire resume is, "I watched YouTube." He strutted into the cul-de-sac carrying a box labeled, "Do not use indoors," which should have been the first clue things would go wrong. He built a launch station out of a cardboard box, a garden gnome, and optimism. When the fuse lit, the firework didn't shoot upward. It shot sideways, zooming across the driveway like it was late for a meeting. It ricocheted off a recycling bin, flew under a truck, and detonated behind someone's lawn chair with a boom that rearranged everyone's digestive system. The expert tried to play it cool, saying, "Yep, that's called a lateral burst. Very advanced." Nobody believed him. But they all agreed on one thing. Next year, they're hiring a professional or skipping straight to sparklers. 9. The couple who tried to ring in the new year with a romantic lantern release. Indoors, some people love symbolism. Others forget fire exists. This couple thought it would be magical to release floating lanterns at midnight. But because it was too cold outside, they decided to do it in their living room, a space filled with curtains, carpet, and at least 4 highly flammable decorative pillows. The first lantern floated majestically upward, directly into the ceiling fan. What followed was a combination of sparks, screaming, and a lantern that shot across the room like a fiery raccoon. The smoke alarm joined the celebration at full volume. Their guests fled into the yard, clutching champagne and disbelief. The couple insisted it would have worked if the fan wasn't on, which is like saying you would have flown if gravity took the night off. The only thing that floated that night was their security deposit. 10. The man who tried to make a New Year's bonfire out of his Christmas tree. There are 2 types of people: those who responsibly recycle their Christmas tree, and this guy. Inspired by some primal instinct, or a YouTube video with ominous music, he dragged his dried-out tree to the driveway and set it on fire at midnight, thinking it would burn slow and cozy. Instead, the tree ignited instantly, like it had been storing resentment all December. A fireball erupted, neighbors gasped, and the man leaped backward with the grace of a startled moose. For 30 glorious seconds, the tree burned brighter than the actual sun, then collapsed into a smoldering heap. His friends clapped, partly out of awe and partly to signal firefighters that they meant no harm. The man called it controlled combustion. The fire department called it, "Don't ever do that again." 11. The party host who tried a confetti cannon DIY. Using a leaf blower and 3 pounds of glitter. Some people buy confetti poppers, others choose violence. This host decided he wanted an explosive glitter reveal at midnight, which is the kind of sentence that already predicts disaster. He poured 3 pounds of craft store glitter into a leaf blower, shouted "Happy New Year!" and pulled the trigger like a man launching himself into a poor decision. The glitter cloud was so massive, it swallowed the entire living room, turning guests into sparkling cryptids. The cat disappeared under a shimmering avalanche. The carpet gained a permanent shimmer. Guests were still finding glitter in their shoes, hair, and possibly lungs months later. His friends begged him never to do it again. He promised he wouldn't. He lied. Glitter people never learn. 12. The grandma who counted down to New Year's. At 9:45 p.m., grandmas have 2 modes on holidays: feed everyone and I'm going to bed. This one tried her best to stay awake but lost the battle around 9:30. Determined not to miss the celebration, she gathered everyone in the living room, turned on the TV, and began an enthusiastic countdown to midnight, 45 minutes early. Her family tried to explain the time, the concept of clocks, and the existence of minutes, but she was unstoppable. 10, 9, 8, she shouted, as the rest of the room exchanged looks. When the TV displayed an insurance commercial instead of fireworks, she declared it a strange New Year's show. They humored her because she earned it. Afterwards, she went to bed proud, while the rest of the family waited awkwardly for the real New Year like hostages in their own home. 13. The man who tried to manifest success by yelling his resolutions into the sky. Resolutions are personal, unless you're this guy who marched onto his balcony at midnight and shouted his goals upward like he was trying to wake the moon. "I will be successful," he screamed. "I will become organized. I will stop buying things I don't need." His neighbors peeked out from their windows, some concerned, others entertained. One shouted back, "Start by lowering your voice." But he continued, believing volume equals destiny. The universe responded with a gust of wind that blew his brand new vision board off the balcony and into a tree. He took this as a sign. His neighbors took it as the unofficial start of noise complaint season. But hey, confidence is confidence, even if the stars file a restraining order. 14. The kids who tried to recreate a fireworks show. Using diet soda and Mentos children are scientists. Chaotic scientists. These kids couldn't stay awake until midnight, so they decided to make their own celebration in the backyard. They lined up bottles of diet soda, dropped Mentos in each one, and shouted, "Happy New Year!" as geysers shot everywhere like a carbonated fountain of youth. Their parents were inside, blissfully unaware, until they heard what sounded like multiple garden hoses rebelling. The kids returned inside drenched, sticky, and proud. The backyard looked like it had been attacked by a caffeinated geyser. The family dog smelled like a vending machine for a week. When asked why they did it, the kids said, "Because we're not allowed to use real fireworks." Honestly? Fair. 15. The guy who kissed the wrong person at midnight. Nothing says, "New year, new problems," like mistaken affection. This man spent the whole night eyeing a woman he liked, swearing he'd finally make a move at midnight. The countdown began. The room dimmed. People leaned in for their traditional kiss. He closed his eyes, stepped forward confidently, and kissed the wrong person entirely. Her cousin, who was holding a plate of cheese and was definitely not expecting romance. The cousin froze like a startled statue. The woman he intended to kiss burst into laughter so loud it drowned out the fireworks. Someone dropped the cheese plate. The man spent the next 20 minutes apologizing, stammering, and reconsidering every life choice that led to this point. To his credit, everyone forgave him, but the phrase "midnight cheese cousin" is never going away. 16. The man who tried to make midnight pancakes and summoned the smoke alarm. Instead, at 11:58 p.m., this man boldly declared he would start the new year with the breakfast of champions. Pancakes. Simple, innocent pancakes. He mixed the batter, fired up the stove, and confidently poured the first one. Then instantly remembered he had never actually made pancakes before. Within seconds, the pan began smoking like it was trying to send Morse code for help. At midnight, while everyone else was yelling, "Happy New Year," he was yelling, "It's on fire! It's on fire!" The smoke alarm joined the celebration by screaming louder than anyone else. His guests flapped towels, opened windows, and questioned why he didn't just buy donuts. The lone pancake, burnt beyond recognition, was later photographed and memorialized. He claimed it tasted fine. Nobody believed him. 17. The woman who tried to release 100 balloons without realizing they needed helium. She had a vision, a magical moment at midnight when 100 balloons would soar into the sky in a joyful, colorful burst. She spent hours blowing them up by hand until she nearly saw stars. At 11:59, she gathered everyone outside, counted down, and released the balloons with a dramatic flourish. And then, nothing. The balloons dropped straight onto the lawn like a rainbow-colored disappointment blanket. One bounced off a garden gnome, another got stuck to her coat. Children poked them with sticks. Someone kindly said, "Maybe the air is heavier tonight." She insisted the store had mislabeled the balloons. Her husband gently explained that she forgot the helium. She spent the rest of the night pretending it was a symbolic, earthbound release. No one argued. mostly because they were trying not to laugh. 18. The guy who tried to sabotage his neighbor's loud party. With classical music, his neighbors threw a massive New Year's bash every year. Loud music, loud people, louder fireworks. This year, he devised a plan. Fight noise with noise. At 11 p.m., he dragged his speakers onto his porch and blasted Beethoven's Fifth Symphony at full volume. His goal was moral superiority wrapped in violins. Instead, he accidentally turned the street into the weirdest DJ battle in the country. On one side, bass-heavy party anthems. On the other, intense orchestral drama. Neighbors stepped outside confused, unsure whether to dance or philosophize. At midnight, both tracks collided. Fireworks exploding while Beethoven screamed, "Da da da da!" It was deeply chaotic and strangely beautiful. The partygoers ended up cheering for the classical music. The man sulked until they invited him over for champagne. He accepted. He's not a monster. 19. The family that tried silent New Year's Eve and immediately failed. Someone suggested a wholesome idea, a quiet New Year's where the family would reflect, breathe, and enter the year with peaceful intentions. They agreed. No noise, no yelling, no chaos, just calm. It lasted 9 minutes. A board game got too competitive. A cousin cheated. Someone knocked over a bowl of chips. The dog barked at a mysterious corner of the room. A toddler announced loudly that he has to pee right now. By the time the clock hit midnight, the room sounded like a zoo holding a Black Friday sale. They still shouted the countdown at full volume because tradition beats inner peace every time. The person who suggested the idea tried again the next day with Silent New Year's Morning. It failed instantly. 20. The man who tried to film the countdown, but recorded his own face. Instead, he wanted a sentimental moment, a clear video of the clock striking midnight, fireworks bursting, friends cheering. He hit record, held his phone high, and captured the exact opposite. The camera was flipped. Instead of fireworks, the footage showed 8 continuous minutes of his extremely close-up face. Every expression, every blink, every nose flare. At the climactic moment, instead of seeing the new year, the video captured him shouting, "Why is it so dark?" while pointing the camera directly at his forehead. When he realized what happened, he said, "It's symbolic. This year is about self-reflection." No one let him live it down. His video is now used in the family group chat as a reaction meme. 21. The woman who tried to make a champagne fountain. Using 3 plastic folding tables. Her plan looked easy in the video tutorial. Stack champagne glasses in a pyramid, pour from the top, let it cascade like liquid elegance. She forgot one detail: stability. Her tables wobbled like baby giraffes on roller skates. At 11:50, she stacked the glasses. At 11:55, they began to tremble. At 11:58, someone whispered, "Should we move?" At 11:59, the entire champagne tower collapsed in a slow-motion disaster that looked like a fancy building imploding. Guests leapt away as glasses rained down like glittering shrapnel. Champagne soaked the carpet. The tables gave up entirely and folded themselves back down, which felt a little rude. She blamed gravity. Gravity accepted the compliment. 22. The guy who tried to do a dramatic midnight toast. With an unopened bottle. He raised the champagne bottle high. He proclaimed this would be his Shakespearean moment. The room grew quiet. He went to pop the cork, and nothing happened. He tried twisting, pulling, grunting. At one point, he used his shirt for traction like a desperate man trying to open a jar of pickles filled with shame. Guests watched in sympathetic horror. He passed the bottle to someone else. They failed too. A third person tried. No luck. Midnight arrived. People cheered, awkwardly, while the bottle still refused to cooperate. It finally popped at 12:06. With so much force, it flew across the room and landed in a bowl of guacamole. He toasted anyway. Because determination, apparently, was his resolution. 23. The teenagers who tried a midnight snow slide. Without checking if the snow was actually ice. It sounded brilliant. Run down the hill at midnight and slide across the fresh snow like winter champions. Except the snow had melted earlier and refrozen into a smooth sheet of pure ice. At the countdown, one teen yelled, "Go!" and they all sprinted forward, only to immediately wipe out like bowling pins hit by an angry ball. They slid helplessly down the hill, screaming, spinning, and occasionally apologizing to gravity. One lost a shoe. Another knocked over a decorative light-up reindeer. By the time they reached the bottom, they were bruised, laughing, and covered in glitter from the destroyed reindeer display. They called it the greatest New Year's ever. Their parents called it a learning moment. The Hill called it revenge. 24. The couple who tried to take a midnight selfie with a sparkler and singed their eyebrows. They wanted a cute New Year's photo, something Instagrammable, something romantic, something that would make everyone comment with heart emojis. So they lit sparklers, posed cheek to cheek, and held the camera out for the perfect midnight shot. The problem? Sparklers don't politely stay still. One leaned in. The other leaned in more. The sparkler leaned in the most. A single rogue ember shot upward like it had personal beef with them and lightly toasted their eyebrows. The photo they ended up with features two people screaming, a glowing sparkler dangerously close to their hair, and the kind of chaos that gets framed ironically. They told everyone the next day that their missing eyebrow corners were a trend in Europe. No one believed them. 25. The fire department called by a Roomba, wearing a party hat. A family thought it would be adorable to dress their Roomba in a tiny New Year's hat and let it join the celebration. What they didn't know was that the Roomba would start cleaning at midnight, its scheduled time, like a tiny, determined robot Cinderella. It rolled across the floor, bumped into a champagne flute, tipped it over, and short-circuited just enough to start beeping like a smoke alarm's understudy. The family panicked, assuming the house was on fire, and called the fire department. Firefighters arrived to find a sputtering Roomba wearing a glittery hat and trying desperately to escape the spill it created. They laughed for 5 straight minutes. The Roomba was declared unharmed but emotionally compromised. 26. The man who tried to make his dog wear a tuxedo for the countdown. His dog was already 14, tired, and extremely uninterested in human traditions. But the man insisted his furry best friend needed to be dapper for the new year, so he bought a tiny dog tuxedo with a bow tie and a Velcro collar. At 11:58, he tried to put it on. The dog, sensing nonsense, went fully limp, the canine version of protest. When that didn't work, the dog rolled onto his back and refused to flip over. When that didn't work, he made himself boneless and slid under the table. The tuxedo ended up on the cat instead, who looked both furious and fabulous. The dog welcomed the new year wearing nothing but victory. 27. The friends who tried a synchronized champagne pop and created a cork apocalypse. It was supposed to be simple. 5 friends, 5 bottles, all popping their corks at the exact moment of midnight. Elegant, dramatic, cinematic. Instead, it became the cork equivalent of artillery fire. One bottle popped early, another late. A third shot its cork directly into a bowl of chips like it was auditioning for the Snack Olympics. One cork ricocheted off the ceiling fan and hit a guest's hat with sniper-level accuracy. Another popped downward for reasons unknown and rolled under the couch to begin its new life in exile. The moment was less classy celebration and more angry orchestra of bottle rockets. They toasted anyway, while ducking for safety. 28. The woman who tried to predict her year by reading fortune cookies. She wrote herself. She wanted a meaningful New Year's ritual, so she bought blank fortune cookies and wrote her own personalized predictions. It would have been touching if she hadn't forgotten which fortune belonged in which cookie. At midnight, everyone cracked theirs open to find bizarre, mismatched messages like, "You will finally fix the shit," given to a woman who lived in an apartment, and "A mysterious man will visit you soon," given to her grandfather. Her own cookie contained the fortune, "Stop eating cheese before bed." She didn't remember writing that. She blamed the universe. The universe blamed dairy. 29. The guy who tried to run all the outdoor lights from one power strip. Outdoor decorations are festive until the extension cords start plotting against you. This man had lights on the bushes, lights on the trees, lights on the gutters, enough wattage to signal satellites, and he plugged all of it into one overloaded power strip he bought at a grocery store. At midnight, when he proudly flipped the switch, the strip sparked like it was auditioning for a fireworks show. Half the yard went dark, the other half flickered ominously. The inflatable snowman deflated like it had given up on life. Meanwhile, his neighbor's porch somehow lit up brighter. No one knows how. The man called it a minor malfunction. His power meter called it assault. 30. The teen who tried a dramatic New Year's entrance and fell through a snowbank. She planned it all. At 11:59, she would step outside, walk down the icy driveway in her sparkly outfit, and re-enter the party at midnight saying, "New Year, new me," like a majestic holiday phoenix. Instead, she took 3 steps outside, slipped on the ice, and disappeared backward into a snowbank like a magician's failed trick. Only her boots remained visible. Her friends rushed out and pulled her free just as the countdown hit 3. She entered the house covered in snow, makeup slightly smeared, hair sideways. Everyone cheered anyway, not because of her entrance, but because she survived it. 31. The man who tried to stream the ball drop. Using his neighbor's Wi-Fi from 2009. His own internet went out at 11:40. Disaster. So he did what any desperate person would. He connected to the neighbor's ancient, unsecured Wi-Fi network named Linksys. The stream loaded at the speed of nostalgia. Every 2 seconds, it froze. The countdown sounded like a robot trying to cough. Pixels rearranged themselves into abstract art. At the final 5 seconds, the stream lagged so badly it jumped from 5 to Happy New Year instantly. He celebrated alone on a 3-minute delay. His friends laughed so hard they nearly cried. The next morning, he finally knocked on the neighbor's door to apologize for using their Wi-Fi. The neighbor said, "You got it to work? I didn't think that thing still existed." 32. The woman who tried to start the new year, crystal clean and vacuumed up her own jewelry. She wanted a fresh, uncluttered start, spiritually, emotionally, and apparently, physically. So at 12:15 a.m., while everyone else was sipping leftover champagne and eating cold appetizers, she decided to vacuum the living room to remove last year's dust. Noble idea, terrible execution. She didn't realize her coffee table was still covered with earrings, bracelets, and a necklace she'd taken off earlier. The vacuum roared like an angry dragon, inhaling half her jewelry collection before she could blink. She dove to hit the power switch like she was defusing a bomb. The next hour was spent shaking the vacuum canister, praying her grandmother's ring hadn't vanished into the abyss. It had. She ended the night Googling how to perform surgery on a Dyson. Her new year was indeed clean. Too clean. 33. The guy who tried to start the year by jogging at midnight and was chased by a goose. He'd made a resolution to get fit, and instead of starting January 1st like a normal person, he chose midnight, because drama matters. Unfortunately, the local park had a territorial goose, a creature powered by fury and cardio. The guy jogged past it, and the goose immediately took offense, honking like it was collecting a debt. The man sprinted, screaming, while the goose flapped behind him like a feathery missile. His friends at the party watched from a distance, unsure whether to help or film. They chose film. The video went viral the next day. The man insisted it was interval training. The goose insisted nothing. It simply waited for him the following year. 34. The family who tried to do a New Year's fondue and created a cheese tsunami fondue sounds elegant, until you forget that cheese has opinions. The pot began heating slowly, bubbling in a friendly, cooperative way. Then someone added too much cheese. Then someone else stirred too aggressively. And then the fondue erupted like a dairy volcano. Cheese splattered onto the counter, the floor, the dog, and Uncle Frank's socks. The fondue pot hissed like it was judging them. People scrambled with napkins, shouting things like, "Save the bread and get a spoon." The dog tried to help by licking the tiles. When the chaos settled, the kitchen looked like a crime scene at a fondue factory. They cleaned until 2 a.m. The next day, they declared fondue retired forever. 35. The woman who tried to make a vision board and accidentally glued it to the wall. She was determined to manifest success like every lifestyle blogger told her. She printed inspirational quotes, cut out pictures, and grabbed a glue stick, except it wasn't a glue stick. It was industrial-strength superglue her husband had left on the counter. She pressed the first corner of the board to the wall and instantly realized her mistake. The vision board fused to the drywall like it was installed by NASA. When she tried to pull it off, the wall came with it. Now, permanently stuck to her living room wall are magazine clippings reading "Follow your dreams." "You are limitless," and "Be flexible." A level of irony scientists could measure. She decided it was a sign. It stayed. 36. The man who tried a dramatic midnight exit and forgot about the screen door he wanted. To leave the party at midnight with a flourish, a cool cinematic stride into the new year. He grabbed his coat, announced, "This is going to be my year," and confidently walked straight into the closed screen door. The door bowed inward like a trampoline, then flung him backward onto the porch in a slapstick collapse. His friends tried to ask if he was okay, but laughter prevented words from forming. He sat up, hat askew, dignity scattered across the lawn like confetti. He nodded and said, "Maybe tomorrow will be my year." The screen door survived. His ego did not. 37. The friends who tried to watch the sunrise and picked the only cloudy day. All month, their plan was poetic. Stay up all night, then welcome the new year with a beautiful sunrise at the beach. They packed blankets, coffee, donuts, and a speaker for dramatic soundtrack music. They arrived at 6 a.m., sat on the sand, and stared at the horizon, which stared back with a thick wall of clouds. Not a single sunbeam appeared, not one. The sky remained gray and stubborn, like a teenager refusing to get out of bed. They waited an hour, freezing, shivering, regretting everything. Finally, someone muttered, "Well, technically, the sun did rise." They took a group photo anyway. It was the darkest sunrise picture ever taken. 38. The guy who tried to impress everyone with a New Year's backflip and invented a new dance move. He'd been watching gymnastic tutorials online all week. One backflip, that's all he wanted. A single, glorious flip at midnight. The countdown hit 0. He shouted, "Watch this!" and attempted the least aerodynamic maneuver in human history. His flip turned into a sideways flop, a partial spin, and then a dramatic landing that looked like modern interpretive dance. He wasn't hurt, just confused. His friends applauded anyway because, honestly, whatever that move was, it deserved recognition. Someone named it the New Year Shuffle. It caught on instantly. Even he agreed it was better than the flip he intended. 39. The woman who tried to do fireworks. The eco-friendly way, and ended up with a sad sparkler. She didn't want to pollute the sky, scare dogs, or bother neighbors, so she bought what the store called eco-conscious silent fireworks. Spoiler, they were just overpriced sparklers. At midnight, she proudly lit one and held it high, only for it to fizzle out in 5 seconds like it had somewhere else to be. She lit another. Same thing. Her entire sustainable fireworks show lasted 14 seconds. Guests politely clapped while also trying not to cry from laughter. She defended her choice by saying, "It's better for the environment." Someone replied, "So is doing nothing." She ignored them and lit her last sparkler, which died instantly out of pity. 40. The man who tried New Year's meditation and fell asleep sitting up. He wanted to welcome the year with inner peace. He dimmed the lights, sat cross-legged, played gentle ocean wave sounds, and closed his eyes. 10 minutes later, guests found him still sitting upright, but completely unconscious, head tilted like a broken mannequin. His breathing matched the ocean audio, so no one was sure where the meditation ended and the snoring began. Someone whispered, "Should we wake him?" Another whispered, "No, he's finally calm." At 1 a.m., he woke up confused, refreshed, and absolutely convinced he had achieved deep spiritual clarity. No one corrected him. He needed the win. 41. The couple who tried a midnight kiss on a canoe and immediately tipped over. They'd seen a romantic photo online, a couple kissing in a canoe under fireworks. Beautiful, enchanting, completely unrealistic. At 11:50, they dragged their canoe to the lake, climbed in wearing fancy outfits, and paddled out about 20 feet. The moment they leaned in for their midnight kiss, the canoe reacted like, absolutely not. It flipped instantly, sending them into the freezing water. They surfaced, screaming, sputtering, and laughing helplessly as the canoe floated away upside down. Their friends on shore cheered like this was all part of the plan. It wasn't. They spent the rest of the night wrapped in blankets, dripping wet, insisting, it was still romantic. Sure, if romance smells like lake water. 42. The teen who tried to sneak champagne and accidentally opened a bottle of sparkling vinegar. Every teen tries something sneaky on New Year's, but this one picked the wrong bottle on the snack table. He grabbed what he thought was champagne, hid behind the garage, and chugged straight from the bottle like a rebellious movie character. 1 second later, he made a noise that can only be described as a dying trumpet. The bottle? Apple cider vinegar, his entire face inverted. His friends found him pacing in circles, shaking his head violently like he was trying to reset his taste buds. For the rest of the night, he could only eat crackers because everything tastes like salad dressing. Legendary mistake. Brutal consequences. 43. The woman who tried to bring back old-fashioned New Year's games and accidentally started a broom duel. She wanted nostalgia, a charming throwback night. So she introduced an old party game from the 1920s involving a broom, blindfolds, and gentle nudges. Unfortunately, the group she was with had the competitive spirit of caffeinated toddlers. Within seconds, the gentle nudges transformed into dramatic broom clashes, aggressive sweeping maneuvers, and one person spinning in circles yelling, "I am the Broom King!" At some point, someone knocked over a lamp. The dog refused to re-enter the room. The woman halted the chaos and declared the game historically inaccurate. Everyone else declared it the best game ever invented. 44. The man who tried to set off a confetti bomb. He bought online and painted his ceiling permanently. He wanted a statement moment. A giant burst of confetti at midnight. The device he bought online claimed to be small but mighty. Spoiler, it was mighty. When the countdown hit 0, he pulled the cord, and the confetti shot upward with the force of a NASA test launch. It hit the ceiling so hard the pieces embedded themselves into the paint like colorful shrapnel. When he tried to sweep them away, they didn't move. When he tried again an hour later, still nothing. The ceiling now had permanent confetti freckles, a festive constellation of chaos. Guests applauded. His landlord did not. 45. The friends who tried a group trust fall into the new year and collapsed like dominoes. Someone suggested a heartfelt ritual. Everyone stands in a circle, holds hands, and leans back in a trust fall of unity. Beautiful concept. Unfortunately, physics hates sentiment. As they leaned back, one person slipped slightly. This caused the next to wobble, and the next, until the entire circle imploded like a collapsing Jenga tower. They fell into a pile of limbs, laughter, and apologies. Someone lost a shoe. Someone else landed on a snack tray. One man yelled, "My hip! Actually, I'm fine." They decided next year's ritual would just be drinking quietly. 46. The woman who tried to bake a New Year's cake and forgot the sugar entirely. She spent all day preparing a stunning cake with frosting, glittery sprinkles, and tiny edible stars. It looked flawless. Bakery-level work. At midnight, everyone gathered around to take a bite. Silence, confusion, panic. "Is this bread?" someone whispered. She realized instantly she had forgotten the sugar, all of it. The cake tasted like disappointment wearing frosting. Guests politely nibbled, pretending it was subtle. The dog refused it. The woman laughed, sliced it into pieces, and declared it her symbolic reset cake. The symbolism? The year can only get sweeter from here. 47. The man who tried to light fireworks from his hot tub and nearly invented time travel. He figured, why stand in the cold when I can relax in the hot tub and light fireworks? A genius idea until the fuse sparked faster than expected. He panicked, dropped it, and the firework rolled across the hot tub edge like it had unfinished business. He scrambled out, slipping, sliding, shouting, while the fuse burned down with the confidence of a villain monologue. The firework shot into the sky at an angle so bizarre it defied geometry. It exploded harmlessly, but directly above the neighbor's inflatable Santa, which deflated in surrender. The man returned to the hot tub and said, "That could have gone worse." Everyone agreed, mostly because they were shocked he was still alive. 48. The guy who tried to do a New Year's jump off the couch and launched himself into the curtains for the grand finale, we present the hero of hubris. This man wanted to leap off the couch at midnight as a symbolic jump into the new year. Bold, vertical, victorious. Instead, he underestimated gravity, traction, and absolutely everything else. His foot slipped at liftoff, turning his jump into a sideways human missile. He flew directly into the curtains, wrapped himself like a burrito, then toppled the curtain rod with him still inside. Midnight was officially celebrated by the sound of metal crashing and a muffled voice saying, "I'm good, I'm good." He emerged victorious, but dazed, like a man reborn through polyester. Truly, the perfect ending for a collection of glorious New Year's chaos. Which disaster deserves the crown this year? Cast your vote in the comments.